Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or even good night, to whatever time where you're listening to this from around the world. My name's Raphael. This is Blockmarket Index. And today we're going live to explore the effects of the potential ETF decisions on the price of Bitcoin, regardless of whether they are important or not. To all intents and purposes, the ETF has one job and one job only, and that is to introduce financial institutions to expose themselves to Bitcoin. And really and truly, Bitcoin is the revolution of taking away the need for financial institutions. Blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies are essentially state that the need for cryptocurrency, the need for financial institutions to process transactions and to keep your accounts is redundant, right? Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies make financial institutions redundant. So the need for an ETF to expose financial institutions to Bitcoin is a bit of a no-brainer. And in this episode of Blockmarket Index Live, we're going to be looking at how this could potentially be a Black Swan event. What is a Black Swan event? Well, the Black Swan theory, or theory of Black Swan events, is a metaphor. And I apologize if the stream is bad quality. Apologies if that's the case, but I will just make do with what we have. I'll try another stream later today if the quality of this one isn't that good. But essentially, we'll just start with Black Swan events now, right? So a Black Swan event is a metaphor that describes an event that comes as a surprise and has a major effect. In the term or in the sort of, when we are describing Bitcoin, just trying to check because I'm getting errors left, right, and center that YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. I'm using the exact same settings as I was using before, so it's not great. But anyways, let's continue with what I was talking about. So a Black Swan event is a metaphor that's used to describe a surprise, right? That has a major effect on something. So what would come as a surprise? The rejection of the Bitcoin ETF applications. As you know, every mainstream media news outlet has basically been anticipating the approval of the Bitcoin ETF and have been acting as if it's already approved. And the problem is, it may come as a big shock or a big surprise if the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, decide to delay or even reject the ETF applications. And this in itself would cause, by the standard definition, a Black Swan event. Now, would it be the first time this sort of thing has happened in crypto? No, I mean, ETF rejections come as often to Bitcoin as, the mem halving, right? The mining reward halving. So, has this happened before? Yes, Black Swan events regarding ETF rejections happen all the time in crypto. We're going to go to the most recent one, which was in the 2017 huge bull rally into 5 figures. When that happened, and what that caused is that's the next story I'm going to be going to. But in March 2017, several months before the December $20,000 Bitcoin high, the US regulators rejected the Winklevoss twins Bitcoin ETF, and this caused a Black Swan event, which caused Bitcoin price to plunge by nearly 20%. Now, in the summer of 2018, on a single day, 9 Bitcoin ETFs were rejected. So it's very likely that we might see a very similar thing happening here. So let's just see this image. I think this is a nice image of a timeline of different ETF rejections. So you can see these are just people filing for ETFs. Several Canadian Bitcoin ETFs have already been approved. So if you do actually want to get an ETF, to expose yourself to an ETF, you can you can use the Canadian system. Again, I'm getting another error that the stream is unhealthy or the stream is bad. So please bear with me. Thank you very much for your patience and bearing with me. And so that brings us on to our next story. Like the main things that the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, is going to consider with regards to whether it approves or rejects Bitcoin ETFs is with regards to the volatility of the market, and if the instability of the market may negatively affect investors, and in this case it will be institutional investors, right? So what happened recently that could do that? Well, I made a video 2 days ago, a live stream 2 days ago, about the ridiculous rise of Bitcoin. It made it like it jumped from $45,000 to $47,000 in a matter of minutes, and it seems that that might have happened off of the back of the recent hack that happened to the Security and Exchange Commission's X or Twitter, formerly Twitter account. So the former Twitter account, or the X account of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, was compromised, and they posted this tweet, which is not appearing in the CoinDesk article, but they've quoted it here. Have they? No, they haven't. Oh, wait, here we go. They quoted it here. Sorry. Which is that today the Security and Exchange Commission grants approval for Bitcoin ETFs for a listing on all registered national securities exchanges. The approved Bitcoin ETF will be subject to ongoing surveillance and compliance measures to ensure continued investor protection. And it also included a picture of Gary Gensler with a quote from him supposedly saying that, but it was deleted. Let me see. I thought this had access to it. That's what happens when you don't check your sources before going live. So let's see if we can find that ETF approval code. Oh, let's see if the Verge has anything photo of the tweet. Here we go. That's the image I was looking for. So you can see there, and then it's got a quote from Gary Gensler, who's hasn't been pro ETF at all in the interviews and so forth. He's cited as as recently as like a couple of months ago that Bitcoin is a risky investment and it's very volatile. So the idea that that the SEC is 100% going to approve this ETF and everybody is buying this rumor is quite frankly a little bit ridiculous, and makes me think that this is a Black Swan event that we saw, in 2017. Because Gary Gensler would never say that today's approval enhances market transparency and provides investors with efficient access to digital asset investments within a regulated framework. Because from what he said publicly, it seems like Gary Gensler is very much against investors having access to risky investments, and he used Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as a risky investment. So there we go. But this entire tweet was a fake tweet. The entire tweet did not come from the Security and Exchange Commission. Gary Gensler did not make that quote, even though the tweet looks legit. The tweet on X looks legit. It was a compromise to the X account of the US Securities and Exchange Commission, and this was posted. Despite that, though, despite that post, there was a lot of volatility. The price of Bitcoin climbed, according to this here, up to nearly $48,000, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, and also gives ammunition for a potential rejection reason of the ETF application. So, and they would be definitely within their legal remit to reject the ETF based off of that alone. Like that's not great. And look, here we go from Twitter themselves, from X themselves. This tweet, which is there, we can confirm that the account security sec.gov was compromised, and we have completed a preliminary investigation. Based on our investigation, the compromise was not due to any of X's systems, but rather due to an unidentified individual obtaining control over a phone number associated with the account through a third party. We can also confirm that the account did not have two-factor authentication enabled at the time the account was compromised, and we encourage all users to enable this extra layer of security. More information and tips on how to keep your account secure can be found in our help center. I mean, the irony isn't lost on me here. I once lost access to my X account, my Twitter account, for a long period of time, and I had two-factor authentication enabled. But even with two-factor authentication enabled, it rejected my login attempts. So I kept copying and pasting the code from Google Authenticator into Twitter on numerous occasions, and it kept chucking me out and saying, we can't give you access to your account at this time. So yeah, I mean, it's just like I said, this looks like a manufactured Black Swan event where we're probably going to see a big drop in Bitcoin price. Now the question is, when this happens, what price could Bitcoin drop to if the Security and Exchange Commission continues its tradition of rejecting Bitcoin ETFs? I mean, this is completely speculative and also not financial advice, so please don't make any purchasing or sales decisions based on the content of what I'm saying here. The fact of the matter is that the last time that something like this happened was the Winklevoss ETF application, and that was rejected in 2017. Price of Bitcoin dropped 20%. So if we see an exact like-for-like scenario where Bitcoin drops 20%, we are looking at a drop of around $8,000, which would take us to around $38,000 or $36,000 thereabout. However, this market is a lot more leveraged than it was in 2017. So there is a lot further to fall. So it's not impossible that a bigger drop or a smaller drop could be achieved, because in all honesty, everybody, regardless of whether the ETF gets accepted or rejected, is looking for an entry price. And the lower the price goes, the more tempted people will be to enter into the Bitcoin market. So a 20 to 30% drop is likely, but there might be a lot of buying pressure that prevents that drop from getting too far above 10 or 20%. Apologies there if the stream is really, really bad. Um, but yeah, I'm getting errors left, right, and center that the stream is bad and going offline. So I will check it soon and try and improve it later. And I might try and repeat this stream later in the day. But that's the point. So if we do make that drop, we're looking like I said, I've got a support line here at 36,697.5. So I think that's probably where we will be aiming for. Let's go to the daily chart. So, around the 11th, in a couple of days, we might see a huge, big red candle going all the way down around here, right? So that's where it could potentially go. If the ETF gets accepted, I reckon we will at least be hitting 50K. So that's it. I mean, that's essentially what we're looking at with regards to the ETF decision. In my opinion, this is not financial advice. You're not entitled to make any purchase decisions off of this. Just go and do your own research. But I reckon Black Swan event, like just based off of the SEC compromise, right? That they will not approve anything with the potential for market manipulation. If the underlying asset can be manipulated by a compromised Twitter account, then that's more than enough reason for them to reject the ETF. Right? Let's just not be stupid. So in my view, it's a buy. And I'm not the first person to be saying this. People have been saying this since last year. So, and I've also been in that camp. I believe that that's very likelihood the thing that's going to happen. And I think you are looking to get into the crypto markets, it's never a bad time to buy Bitcoin as long as you're prepared to hold it for long periods of time. So even if you do buy today at $45,000 and it does drop to 36,700, it's only going to be, several months or a year before you see it, you're back in the black again. And if you're going off of historical things, like, when I'm talk about the last ETF rejection that happened in March 2017, we can go all the way back to March 2017 and take a look at exactly what happened. So we are much lower down here. Because I mean, like, I've been in the space, so you can see all of my stuff from there, and very, very aware even back then looking at it. 2014. This is what we're talking about. This Black Swan event was the what's that exchange called? Mount Gox. So this was the Mount Gox crash. This is the biggest crash in terms of percentage drops in Bitcoin's history. Bitcoin dropped 86.77% over the course of 1 month. Like, from Friday, November the 1st, 2013 to so over the course of 2 years, Bitcoin dropped 86.77%. Now, obviously, like 95% of all Bitcoin was traded on Mt. Gox at the time of this. So this is history now, and no Black Swan event has ever been able to achieve anything like that drop in price. But anyways, let's go to March 2017. I've got several dates here. So where is... There we go. That's it. That's the candle right there. So this is the what we're looking here is the ETF rejection Black Swan of 2017. So we're talking about a high of 1,162 and a low of 729. Now, within 1 month, that entire Black Swan event had been forgotten about, and then the next month, Bitcoin pulled a huge, big green candle. So that's why I'm saying, even if the ETF gets rejected or delayed, it's going to be a mini Black Swan event, but it's not really going to have any big effect in the grand scheme of things. And That's why it's just better to buy Bitcoin and hold. Just keep buying regularly to hold, and that's what I'm doing. So I've just got like a couple of grid bots that are buying and selling according to this market volatility, which we've got to be grateful for. You can use Black Swan events to your advantage and trade the market volatility. Just create a spot grid and trade the market volatility. This is not financial advice. What you do with your own money is your decision. I'm just telling you what I'm doing with mine. And that's essentially it. So that's the Black Swan event in March. Oh, sorry. So it's not even, yeah. So you can see it here. That's the Black Swan event in March, where it dropped to 895 from 1400, right? So the next month, huge big green candle, which completely ignored it as if it never happened. And that's the thing I'm trying to say is that Bitcoin isn't for financial institutions, anyways. So if they want exposure to it, there are already avenues available for them to have exposure to it. They could buy MicroStrategy shares. They could, buy GBTC shares and get on the grayscale thing. So there are lots of different things that they could do, and we've seen black swans to black swans. Um, but yeah, now we are in this period, and like I said, we could hit a potential low of $36,000, $36,000 $700. I think January 20th is the ETF date, so that would happen by January 20th, around there. Um, well, or here, this is a daily chart. Sorry. But anyways, that's what we're potentially looking at. Well, that's everything that I wanted to cover in this episode of Block Market Index Live. I hope you appreciate any of that news. If you have any thoughts, ideas, or things that you want to comment or state regarding that issue, please leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to listen to them. And thank you very much for watching. So if you have watched, thank you very much. Please like, share, and subscribe. And have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or even good night to wherever you're watching this from around the world. I'm Raphael Shalaby. This has been Block Market Index, and I hope the stream hasn't been too horrible for any of this information to have been completely ruined by it. But again, thank you very much. I'm going to see if I can fix that and get a better stream for future episodes. Again, take it easy.